All right, it looks like we are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and also on Instagram's over there, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube over here. So if you see me looking in a different direction, that's why. I'm just going live on many different platforms at the same time. And that's really an interesting way to reach people, right? Because in the past, to talk to someone, we had to know their number, right? We had to look in a specific place. There wasn't a publicly accessible resource like these videos, right? Every week, Friday, 8 a.m., I go live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And this is just a public resource. You don't have to call me on the phone. You don't have to send me a message, because you know that you can come here and you can find this. So today we're talking about phone conversations, right? Phone conversations are much different. You have to know the person, you have to call a specific number, and that only allows you to speak with one person at a time. So can you remember, probably most of you can, when I was younger, it was this way. Most people didn't have internet, right? Most people didn't have the internet. And so people had to call each other on the phone. And before that, I mean, I remember my great grandmother telling me about how, they didn't have phones and they didn't have TVs. And it was a completely different way of spreading information, to spread information, right? It was a different way of communicating to everyone, mass communication. So when we talk about phone conversations, we're really just talking about an old type of communication, right? An old type of communication, but it's also current today. We still use this today, but we can see that telecom companies, right? Telecommunication, telecom companies, they're getting replaced. They're going to be replaced by internet providers and by larger companies that are providing communication on a larger scale. So when we talk about phone conversations, we're just talking about direct communication between two people. Communication between two people is something that is different from communication in public, right? Because when I speak to someone on the phone, I'm going to say something like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm going to say, "What's up?" I'm going to use informal language, and depending on who the person is, right? If the person is my boss, then I'll use formal language. If the person is my friend, then I'll use informal language. And when we mass communicate to people, there are different ways that we might communicate also. For example, if you see the president go on TV and do an interview or give a speech to people, the president is not going to use informal communication usually, right? And when they do, then people think of it as not being very presidential. But really, what I see is that in marketing, when you're trying to promote yourself, when you're trying to sell your product that you have, when you're trying to just tell people the value of the thing that you have, right? That's really what marketing is about. It's not really about selling. It's about communicating correctly the value of what you have. So when you think of it this way, communication is really, really important. Communication is the difference between success and failure sometimes. There's different types of communication, right? We usually, as English teachers and English students, we usually talk about the kind of communication that happens in written form, spoken, right? Spoken, written forms of communication. But we need to be thinking differently than that. We need to be thinking of those skills like a native speaker. So when we think about English and we say there are many teachers say this. They say there are productive skills and there are receptive skills. Receptive skills, it means things that you get, right? Skills that you learn. And then there's skills that you produce, not that you take in, right? Like listening would be a receptive skill. There's some data, there's some information, and you collect it. On the other side, when you produce this data, when you produce information, that's a productive skill. That's writing and speaking. And usually when we study languages, that's how far we think of it. But if you're a native speaker of that language, then you will think of it differently, because it's not just writing and speaking. Instead, it's about giving speeches, giving presentations, right? Instead, it's called copywriting. This is a special word for writing text, writing words for marketing reasons, to communicate correctly the value of what you have. Think about that. So communication is really, really important. Now, I want to read some of the comments here. Frank Mingma says, phone system may somewhere old procedure, but it's a completely new one in undeveloped countries. Communication is really important to take attention and interact while we talk between people or in a group of people. Yes, Frank, that's a great comment. Let me put that up on the screen. If you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube or on Facebook, then you can see Frank's comment on the screen right now. If you're watching on Instagram, that's cool. I understand you're probably in your car or something. So Frank, that's a really, really good comment. Yes, and so we have different development of communication infrastructure in different parts of the world. But we can see that some of the steps in technology, some countries can jump over them, right? Not countries, but some societies, some groups of people can jump over old technology. For example, maybe in your country, you didn't have VCR or DVD players that people bought a lot of. Maybe you didn't have cassette players, like a tape that you listen to music on. Or maybe you didn't have discs, like a CD. Because maybe in your country, you went directly to CDs instead of cassettes, right? So in some countries that happened, in some places that happened. And the same with phones, that the infrastructure for the basic communication on telephones, it started in developing countries. They started building it at the same time that there was already infrastructure for the internet, right? So internet and phone became one thing. And that's why people who were just doing phone will lose in the end. I mean, the companies that are like telecom companies, they're super profitable, but they won't be able to compete with internet companies and with other providers of internet, which basically is a better form of communication, right? Because you could use the internet to use a different program and call the person just like you would if it were a phone. You can just go to Facebook Messenger, right? You can just go to any messenger. You can go to WhatsApp. You can go to Telegram. You can go to WeChat. You can go wherever you're going to go, and you can call a person like it's a phone. That's why today I think that the phone itself, just this one function being separate and being different, and like the device that we use, the thing that we use, it's not really a phone anymore, right? It's a computer. That's what, when they say smartphone, what it really means is phone companies are going to not be around for a long time. Phone companies are going to start to be sold to or bought by internet companies. So yeah, this is so phone conversations. When we're talking on the phone, what do we usually say? hello, hello. So like it depends on a few different aspects. What kind of communicator are you? Are you a very direct person? Are you a person who likes to listen and let the other person speak first? Also, it depends on why you're calling, right? What's the purpose of the call? If the purpose of the call is for you to get information, then you will need to be more direct and push the conversation forward, right? You can't just call a person and say, hey, right? What do you say next? The person who speaks next is the person who has something important to say. So usually if you initiate the call, then you are the one who needs to lead the conversation. That's the rule usually. So if you initiate the call, then you speak, right? Then you talk about what it is. So how can we present that? In many cases, in many situations, a native speaker will start a phone conversation by saying something like, I just wanted to call you because, or I just wanted to tell you that, do you get it? There's like they say, I just wanted to, this phrase, I just wanted to, and then we use a verb, right? And say the rest of the thing that we want to do. This means like, this is the reason that I'm calling you. This is the reason. This is the purpose of the call. So if you say this in the beginning of the call, then the person will understand that this is the reason, right? This is why you're calling. So, for example, I call you, say, hey, Juan, and you say, hey, Kris. I'm like, hey, I'm just calling to tell you, right? This is the reason. I am just calling to tell you, or I just wanted to call you and tell you. I just wanted to call you and tell you that I received your gift and it was amazing. Thank you. So I'm just telling him about something in the past. I received the gift. I wanted to call him and tell him this. So that's what I said on the call, right? Hello, I just wanted to call you and tell you that I received your gift. I got your gift, right? This is one reason you might call somebody. What about making plans in the future? If we're making plans using a phone conversation, we might say, hey, I just wanted to call to find out what you're doing tomorrow. All right, let's look at that phrase. I just wanted to call to find out what you're doing tomorrow. So this tells him that the reason I'm calling, like the thing that I wanted before I called, the reason I'm calling, right? I just wanted to call you and tell you. So this is the reason. That's what this phrase means. And now we're asking about plans in the future. I wanted to ask what you are doing tomorrow. Now, I'm using present continuous in this phrase, right? If we go to English grammar, it's called present continuous. What you are doing, you are doing. I wanted to ask what you are doing tomorrow, but tomorrow's in the future, right? So why do we use present to talk about the future? Well, that's because when we have a plan that we already made in the future and we have it in a schedule, like it's already a timetable, it's already written somewhere, right? Then we can say continuous because it's already real. It's now. But we say a future time phrase to let you know that this is about the future. So again, I just wanted to call to ask what you're doing tomorrow. I just wanted to call to ask what you're doing tomorrow. Not what are you doing tomorrow. I see this mistake a lot. It's not correct to say, I'm calling to ask what are you doing tomorrow. No. That's a mistake. I'm calling to ask what you are doing tomorrow. Because this is not a question. If I say, what are you doing tomorrow? This is a question. But I'm not asking a question. I'm just saying why I'm calling. I'm just calling to ask what you are doing tomorrow. That's what I'm doing. I'm calling you and I'm asking, and that's why I'm calling, for this reason. And it's not a question. I'm going to ask this question, but this sentence is not a question. So I also, in the first sentence that I said the verb to find out. I'm just calling because I wanted to find out what you are doing tomorrow. So to find out, it means to learn. It means to learn something. You might not have made that connection before, but to find out means to learn. In almost everything that you do, it can be the same. So, for example, you know something, you either know or you don't know, right? This can only be true or false, yes or no. You know or you don't know. But the process of going from you don't know to you know, this process, when this changes, this is to find out. So it's the same process as to learn something, right? Like if you don't know English and then you learn English, well, now you know English, right? That's how it works. So if you don't know English and then you find out, so here we have to add more words. You find out how to speak English. You learn how to speak English. You find out how to speak English. This means now you know how to speak English. All right. Okay, here's a good one. Safa says, why can't we just say, I'm just calling to find out what you will do tomorrow? Okay, that's a great question, Safa. So we can't say, I'm calling to find out what you will do tomorrow, because when we say will, it's for a few special situations. Honestly, we don't say will a lot. When we're talking about plans, we never say will. This is a big difference between, this is a big thing that can show people that you're not a native speaker if you say will about plans. Now, if you're just starting to learn English, then probably it's okay. Just say will about everything in the future. It's easier and everyone will understand you, okay? So if you're just getting started, it's much easier to use will. It's correct. Like it's not 100% correct all the time, but it's understandable all the time. So, but native speakers don't use it like that. For plans, we use going to, like, what are you going to do tomorrow? Or we use present continuous or present simple sometimes. But with present continuous and present simple, we have to say a time period in the future. So if I'm making plans, I might say, what are you going to do tomorrow? Or I might ask, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow? And usually we use present continuous to talk about appointments. It's like times that you've already agreed to do something, right? You already have an agreement. You already have some kind of plan. But when you use going to, it's less certain plan. You're not so sure about this plan. So sometimes we also can say, what are you doing tomorrow? We said that, right? So for example, sometimes we might also use present simple to talk about schedules and timetables in the future. We might say, the train comes at 11. And so you can ask, when does your train come tomorrow? When does your train come tomorrow? This is present simple. It's a question, but it's about the future because it's about a schedule or a timetable. Now, Safa was asking about will. Why can't we just say will? Well, okay, this is when we say will. We don't say will about plans. We say will about promises, like, I will always love you, right? Here we should use will. So this is about a promise. We can also use will about instant decisions. Instant decisions. So, for example, you're at a restaurant and the waiter asks what you would like to eat. What would you like to eat, sir? Or what would you like, sir? Or would you like to order? And I say, yes. And I look at the menu and I say, I'll have a steak. I'll have a steak. Right? So a big piece of meat. I'll have a steak. I say, I will have a steak. This is how you order, because it's my decision that I just decided right now. Maybe you have a discussion at work with different people and you're trying to find the answer. You're trying to make a decision. And some people say, someone wants to make a decision right now and says, okay, you'll do step number 1 and 2, and I'll do steps 3 and 4. Right here we said, I will. There's also another situation when we offer to help someone. When we offer to help someone. And many English books tell you that you should use the phrase shall. But in English today, most people do not say shall. Instead, we say should. Shall is a very old word. There are some special situations when people might say it today, but usually when someone says it, it sounds very old. It sounds like Shakespeare. And so today we ask it differently. So, for example, let's say that your friend is trying to open the window and you say that you're going to help him. He can't open it and you go to help him. You say, I'll open it for you. Or you say, I'll help you. I'll help you with that, right? With I'll. Now, you could also ask if he wants your help first, right? You could ask. And in English books, they say, shall I help you with that? But nobody says that today. I mean, maybe there are some people who really, maybe the Queen, but nobody else speaks like that. And shall is I've asked my British English friends, and they say, no, we don't really use shall very often either. Like, there are some special situations where we say it, but like even when you say it, there's another way that you can say it without shall, and shall always sounds, archaic. So instead of asking your friend, shall I help you with that, we should say, should I help you with that? Today, most people are going to say, should I help you with that? Especially in American English, we will say, should I? So this is the difference there. This is another situation though, right? So offers to help, we can say will. We can say, I'll help you with that. An instant decision, we can say, I'll have the steak. For a promise, we can say, I'll always love you. These are 3 situations when we can say it. There's one more I'm trying to remember, since you just put me on the spot here. So let's see, there's another one. What is it? Okay, well, I'll remember the fourth one here in a second. I have a few YouTube videos about it already, but good for me to remember it. So, okay, next question is, oh, wow. Thank you so much for all of the great comments here. I see Walmy says it's so helpful. Hi, love from India, from Anil. Great. Okay, here's a good question. So Anindita says, if I use shall for first person, it is also correct, I think. That's a great question. So yes, technically, if you use shall, remember, shall comes from the time of Shakespeare. And in the time of Shakespeare, verbs were different. They had different endings than now. Okay, it was a different language. And so at the time of Shakespeare, shall was just the form of the verb that you could use for the first person, for I and for we. So it's not correct. Today, most people don't say shall ever. But if you say shall, even in the past, it's only correct if you say I or we. I shall or we shall. Or shall I and shall we? Only these forms are correct. You cannot say shall you. This is not correct. Or you shall. This is not correct. You cannot say he shall. That's not correct. Shall is an old word. Even many native speakers don't know how to use it. And most of them don't. So that's why it's just confusing that you see it in English books. Anil says, but shall we use at the time of future tense? Right. But I won't use it. Do you see we have the verb will and won't? So this is instead of shall and shall not. So today that's what we use, will and won't. And shall will tell people that you sound like you're speaking like Shakespeare. So you're speaking like hundreds of years ago, It sounds old. All right, great. Here's a good one. Machude says, hello, I'm from Mozambique. It's my first time. I really like the lesson. Thank you so much, Machude. Thank you so much for that comment. And in the comments under this video, if you're watching on Instagram, it might not be so interesting to see a guy talk to his computer, right? So for these live calls, it's probably better to come over to Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. But we do something special on Instagram too, so don't worry, we'll have something over there for you. But yeah, Machude said it's his first time here, and I'm really happy that I get to reach people from all over the world. Like I was saying at the beginning of our lesson, sorry, Amal says, is won't, would not? Sorry, Amal, won't is not, would not. No, won't is will not. Won't equals will not. Yeah. So Machude was saying that this is his first lesson. And at the beginning of our lesson today, I was talking about mass communication, communication for everyone, publicly. So anytime that someone wants, they can go and they can connect. That's the new type of communication today, right? And in the past, it was phone conversation, right? You had to have some kind of direct. Now, maybe you could have a phone conversation that was like a conference call, right? You could have a conference call. And so this was like a group of people on a call who could practice, not practice speaking. If you're an English student, maybe that would be interesting for you to have practice speaking in a conference call. But usually that was just for work before, right? So now we do this mass communication where we try to communicate something one time, everyone has access to it, and information spreads faster that way, right? So today, the individual person can spread information, send out data much more quickly than they could in the past. And a phone conversation is really old. That's what I think, that just the phone, just that way is relatively old. Now, a lot of people still use text messages. And also, let's think about the difference between who you call using an app on your phone, which is really the internet, and who you call using your phone number and who you text message, SMS, right? To text message. Think about that. It's probably different people. It's probably that people who are near you now are the ones that you use phone and text communication for. And the people who are not near you right now, you use internet communication. Now, it's still direct and it's still private, so it's very similar. But you know that you're using the internet, you're not using a phone line. So I think everyone understands that in the future, like as we go forward, it's just going to be internet communication, because all of these functions that the phone communication had can easily be performed. You can easily do these tasks from the internet using a phone, a device, but from the internet. So this is why you've also seen a lot of phone companies switch to focusing on devices, right? They want to make a device. They want to make a better device, a cooler device with better camera, better whatever, because they have to sell the device itself. It's not the communication function that really is valuable there. Now, that might sound strange to some of you. And let me tell you this. To you, it might sound really useful if you had the opportunity to have calls, right? To have conference calls and to join groups of people. Like right now, you listen to me speak and you see lots of people in the comments on all of these platforms writing comments and saying they're watching and they want to talk and they want to practice speaking. Now, just imagine this. You see all of these people writing comments and saying that they want to practice speaking and saying that they want to learn English. And they're all watching this lesson. They're all watching me talk about English right now. And some of those people, they join our speaking club where you can practice 24/7. We have these conference calls. We have these calls where you can join in and practice speaking with a native speaker who's a teacher. Sometimes the groups have 2 people. Sometimes they have 20 people. It just depends on the time of the day and how many people are joining at that time. But usually there's a lot of different lessons, and we try to have about 25 lessons every day. That's what we schedule. So if you see all of the people in the comments saying that they want to practice speaking and they want to meet people to practice speaking and they want to learn English, some of those people join our speaking club, right? Because they're serious. I mean, you don't join a speaking club where you can practice with native speakers every day, anytime that you want. Like every day of the year, anytime that you want, you can practice speaking, right? That's just problem solved. If you can't find people to practice speaking English with, like, you just snap your fingers, boom, you've got the speaking club, problem solved. So you don't need to look anymore. You don't need to waste time out there trying to worry about this. Your speaking practice part of English is solved. So the serious people here, they don't just write comments. They go over and they join the speaking club and they start speaking all the time, right? You can find the link in the comments here, or on Instagram, you can find the link in my profile. They join. So just imagine if you could meet all of those serious people, the people who are serious enough to not just write a comment, but click on the link and go over to the website and join the speaking club and practice every day. Those are serious people. They show up. They don't have to come 2 or 3 hours every day. They can come today, tomorrow, and then maybe on the weekend they have a lot of time. and then they join 5 lessons in one day. And they don't have to pay for each lesson that they go to. They just join for the month and that's it. They can join all the lessons that they want. So it's really a way to solve your speaking practice problem. So as you're writing these comments, just think about that. The serious people who are here, who are watching, they've clicked the link, they went over. I mean, do you want to practice speaking with the people who wrote comments only? Or do you want to practice speaking with the people who actually joined and said that they definitely want to do this? You probably want to practice with more serious people. Okay, so I see some good questions coming in here. How can I join the speaking club? Teacher, please tell me. So there's a link in the comments. There's a link in the description to the video. There's a link, and on my website there's a link. And you can, anywhere you look, there's a link. Click that link. Go to my website, krisamerikos.com, and you'll find it. It's called English Every Day. And there's people from all over the world. You can see our feedback page. It has feedback in over 50 languages, like at least 50 languages, I know. So yeah, there's no more chance to speak in group. Sure, there's a chance every hour to speak in this group. In this speaking club, every hour you can speak. Like there's a lesson every hour. So and there's teachers. There's different teachers in different places. I mean, I can't teach 24/7. I teach some lessons there, but I can't teach 24/7. That's why we have lots of teachers and from lots of places, and it's really cool. I think you'll like it. Great. Okay, if any want to practice with me only English, I able to take answer at the punctual time. See, Ganesh, you really don't understand that when you write it in comments, like, sure, someone might send you a message, and then you have to organize all of it. And then you have to try to make sure that they come. Then you need to have enough people so it makes sense for you to get enough practice. And then you need to, or maybe you're just going to find one person and you're going to speak. But who's going to tell you your mistakes? Who's a professional teacher who's going to tell you the correct pronunciation? Who, has years of experience doing this? Why it would be silly to do that, right? So it's just not a very professional approach. So Ganesh, if you want to meet people who are always ready to practice the right way with a professional teacher any time of the day that you want, so you don't even have to plan it. Just you're bored, do it. You're in the car, join a lesson. You're running, people join while they're exercising. Like you can join from anywhere, and you don't always have to be speaking the whole time if you don't want. You can listen sometimes, but if you want to speak, you can speak. It's speaking practice lessons all day, every day. So if you're really serious, Ganesh, if you really are punctual and you really want to practice with serious people, then the speaking club is for you, But yeah, I think writing in the comments just shows like it's not so reliable. You can go anywhere on Facebook and see people writing their WhatsApp number and stuff, right? It's really funny. Great. Okay, so how many students are there in group lessons? Alina, hi. So Alina, it's a different number every lesson. It's a different number every lesson. And basically what we do is we know the average number that join at different times of the day. And when we see that there's too many students joining lessons, the same lessons, like if there's more than 10, then this is a lot. So if we see that there's too many students joining lessons, then we start adding more lessons there at the same time. So now these people have to choose if they're going to go to this lesson or to this lesson. And so they'll have 2 lessons at the same time. And it's really easy, like we can add another lesson 15 minutes later or 30 minutes later, or we have unlimited lessons. So it doesn't matter to us. We just teach as many lessons as we need to teach. And as more people join, we add more lessons. It's really easy. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so More people who aren't serious writing comments in the chat. I got it. Okay. Let's see. Why I can understand you, but I cannot understand the others, Akar says. So why can you understand me, but you can't understand others? So I think that there's two answers here. First of all, you can understand me because I'm a professional teacher. I've been teaching English for 12 years now or more. I've been teaching for a while. So I learned how to speak with my students so that they understand me. And in communication, you want people to understand you, right? That's the whole point. So it's important. Just imagine this. Right now, you can understand my accent. So if you learn English through my accent, right, through the type of native speaker that I am and the way that I pronounce clearly like this, if you learn English through this accent, then don't you think that your English might be clear too? That's why, as a professional teacher, I think the teacher being understandable is one of the most important aspects of teaching English. If you can't understand the teacher, then like, what are you doing, right? So great. The other reason that you probably understand me more than others is because of something in English called enunciation. Enunciation means saying each sound of the word, pronouncing every sound. That's what it means. All right. Great. Anastasia says, I've joined the English Every Day program and I have improved a lot. Thank you so much, Anastasia. Yeah, so there's a lot of people who join, and because you can practice speaking all the time, I mean, it helps you improve fast, right? It helps you improve fast because you know that problem is solved. That's the point that I want to make here, is that the speaking club, because you can join any time of the day, because there's professional teachers, because there's students from all over the world, and because there's a plan of lessons that you go through, your problem is solved. Like, speaking English should not be a problem anymore. Maybe you still want to have lessons with your local teacher so that they can help you translate some things that are difficult. Maybe they can help you understand some basics, like differences between the grammar in your language and the grammar in English, right? Maybe they can help you with that, and that's not going to be covered. Or maybe, you know, a native speaker or people from other languages won't understand your language like you do. So they can relate to your language. This is really helpful, right? So maybe you still have a local teacher that you work with. Maybe you still have another native speaker that you have individual lessons with, right? And you study with them twice a week or 3 times a week, and it's a one-on-one lesson, and they teach you like that, right? That's fine. I mean, you can do that too. And at our school, we have that too. But to me, it seems like 24/7 lessons anytime that you want, and as many as you want, and meet as many speaking partners as you want. You know, this solves a different problem. It's that problem that you still have when you have an individual teacher. It's that problem that you still have when you have your local teacher. You still have that problem of just speaking with lots of different people about lots of different topics, right? You have to do that in order to really know the language and then be able to speak it. What's going to happen when you get into a situation offline in real life and you need to speak to someone in English? You're not going to be confident about it unless you've had a lot of practice. If you have a lot of practice, then you'll be able to do this much better. So thank you so much for everyone who has joined today. Thank you so much for joining. Walmy says, how can I register for the speaking program? So there's a link in the comments. I've sent the link a few times. There's a link in the description to the video. If you're watching on Instagram, there's a link in my profile. And if you can't find the link, go to krisamerikos.com. You can see my name on the screen right now. So krisamerikos.com, and you'll find it. It's called English Every Day. Okay? English Every Day. And so if you can't find the link, just go to krisamerikos.com. And you'll see it. It's right there on the first page. You'll see English Every Day. All right. Thank you so much for joining me live today. And I will see everybody next time. Have a wonderful day. And maybe I'll see you before next time, right? If you join the speaking program, if you join the speaking club, then might see you at the next lesson, which we have another lesson starting in 10 minutes. So if you join right now, you can join the next lesson. And instead of just listening to me, you can come and speak with me and other people. You can come and join the lesson and speak face-to-face with us. Okay? Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.